8-year-old Emma Chen pressed her mittened hand against the back door glass and froze. 3 shapes huddled against the porch steps, covered in snow. The biggest one lifted her head, brown eyes locking onto Emma's. A German shepherd. 2 tiny puppies burrowed into her sides, barely moving. Emma's breath fogged the glass. The dog's ears twitched forward. Her front paw lifted slightly, then dropped back into the snow. The temperature had plunged to -15 overnight. Morning light revealed a world encased in ice. "Mom," Emma's voice cracked. "There's dogs outside." Sarah Chen appeared from the kitchen, dish towel in hand. Her expression shifted from confusion to alarm as she looked through the glass. "Oh my God." The mother dog's coat was thick but matted with ice. Snow had drifted against her back during the night. She hadn't moved from the puppies, using her body as a shield against the wind that had howled until dawn. One puppy whimpered. The sound barely carried through the glass. Sarah grabbed her phone, fingers shaking as she dialed. "Stay inside, Emma. I'm calling animal control." But Emma had already grabbed her winter coat from the hook. "They'll freeze waiting for someone to come." The mother dog watched Emma push open the door. Cold air hit like a physical force. Emma's boots crunched through fresh powder as she approached the steps. The German shepherd's tail moved once, barely stirring the snow around it. Not a threat, a plea. "It's okay," Emma whispered. "We're going to help you." Up close, the situation looked worse. Ice crystals clung to the mother dog's whiskers and the fur around her eyes. The puppies couldn't be more than 8 weeks old. Their little bodies trembled against their mother's belly, seeking warmth that was fading with each passing minute. One puppy had frost on its tiny paws. The German shepherd's breathing came in visible puffs. She'd been holding this position for hours, maybe longer. Her muscles had locked into place, protecting her babies even as hypothermia crept through her body. When Emma reached out slowly, the dog didn't pull back. She leaned into Emma's hand, desperate for any warmth. "Sarah, bring towels," Emma called over her shoulder. "And blankets, hurry." Her mother appeared with an armload of supplies. "Animal control is on the way, but they said it could be 30 minutes. The roads are terrible." She knelt beside Emma, taking in the scene. That poor mama. The German shepherd's eyes tracked their movements. She'd trusted humans enough to seek shelter at a house. Now she had to trust them again. Sarah carefully lifted one puppy. The little male barely responded, his tiny body cold and stiff. The mother dog's head swung around, a low sound building in her throat. "Shh, it's okay," Sarah murmured. "We're taking them inside, all of you." Emma wrapped the second puppy in a towel. A female, smaller than her brother. Her breathing was shallow. Emma held her close, trying to transfer warmth through layers of fabric. "Mom, she's so cold." The mother dog tried to stand. Her back legs gave out. She'd been lying in the same position too long, guarding her puppies through the brutal night. Her front legs shook with effort. Sarah set the male puppy down and moved toward the shepherd. "Emma, take both puppies inside. Get them near the heater but not too close. Warm them gradually." Emma gathered both puppies against her chest. They felt like ice packs beneath the towels. Inside, she settled on the living room floor near the heating vent. The puppies lay motionless in her lap. Their little sides rose and fell, but barely. Emma rubbed her hands over them gently, willing life back into their small bodies. Through the window, she watched her mother work with the shepherd. The dog was massive, probably 70 pounds. Sarah couldn't carry her alone. She wrapped towels around the dog's body and helped her stand. Each step toward the door looked agonizing. The shepherd's legs trembled. Twice, she nearly collapsed, but she kept moving, kept following Sarah toward the doorway where her puppies had disappeared. The front door opened. Sarah guided the shepherd inside, one hand supporting her shoulder. The dog's eyes immediately found her puppies in Emma's lap. She tried to move faster. Her back legs buckled. She hit the floor hard, sliding on the tile. A sound escaped her that Emma had never heard from a dog before. Part whimper, part cry. Pure desperation. Emma carefully lifted the puppies and moved closer. It's okay. They're right here. The shepherd stretched her neck, nose reaching toward her babies. She sniffed each one frantically, checking, verifying. Her tail tapped once against the floor. Relief. Emma lowered the puppies within reach. The mother dog pulled them close with her front legs, tucking them against her chest. Her whole body relaxed a fraction. Sarah brought more towels and a bowl of lukewarm water. We need to warm her slowly. Too fast could cause shock. She draped dry towels over the shepherd's back and sides, creating layers of insulation. Emma, go get that space heater from your room. Set it on low. The minutes crawled past. Emma positioned the heater several feet away, letting warmth gradually fill the space around the dogs. The mother shepherd's shivering intensified as her body temperature started to rise. That was good, Sarah explained. It meant her body was fighting back, trying to generate heat. The male puppy stirred first. His tiny legs kicked weakly. The mother dog immediately began licking his face, stimulating circulation. The puppy's mouth opened. No sound came out, but he was trying. Emma's throat tightened. Come on, little guy. Sarah checked the female puppy. She's breathing, but she's not as responsive. She lifted the tiny body, examining her. Her paw pads are white. Frostbite, probably. Emma stroked the puppy's head with one finger. So small, so fragile. Will she be okay? I don't know, honey. A knock on the door made everyone jump. The animal control officer stood on the porch, bundled in heavy winter gear. Sarah let him in. Mark Reeves had worked animal control for 15 years. He'd seen plenty of cold weather rescues. But the scene in the Chen's living room made him pause. How long were they out there? We don't know, Sarah said. We found them about 20 minutes ago. Mark knelt beside the German shepherd. His trained eye assessed her condition. Ice still clung to her coat in patches. Her gums were pale. When he lifted her lip, the capillary refill time was slow. Not good. He checked her core temperature with a specialized thermometer. 94 degrees. Dangerous hypothermia range. She needs a vet, now. He pulled out his phone. Dr. Patel at Emergency Animal Hospital. She's expecting my call. He dialed, gave a rapid status report, listened. 20 minutes. We can make it. The mother dog's eyes tracked Mark's movements. She pulled her puppies closer. Emma recognized that look. The shepherd was terrified they'd take her babies away. Can Emma come? Sarah asked. She found them. I think it would help if... Mark nodded. Both of you can come. Grab those towels. The drive to the animal hospital was tense. Mark drove carefully on icy roads while Sarah sat in back with Emma, the shepherd, and both puppies. The mother dog's head rested in Emma's lap. Her breathing had stabilized, but she was still dangerously cold. The male puppy had started making small sounds. The female remained still. Emma kept one hand on the shepherd's head, stroking behind her ears. You're such a good mama, she whispered. You kept them alive all night. You're so brave. The dog's tail moved slightly at the sound of Emma's voice. Even in her weakened state, she responded to gentleness. Emma wondered where this dog had come from, who had abandoned a mother and her babies in a snowstorm. The thought made her stomach hurt. Through the car window, Emma watched the frozen landscape slide past. Houses with smoke curling from chimneys. Cars abandoned on the roadside from last night's storm. The world looked peaceful now, transformed into a winter wonderland. But last night had been different. Last night had been deadly. Storm shifted her weight, pressing harder against Emma's legs. Her brown eyes opened briefly, checking on her puppies. The male puppy was nestled in Sarah's arms, wrapped in layers of towels. The female puppy lay across Emma's lap beside Storm's head. The mother dog's nose touched her daughter's tiny body, verifying she was still breathing. Satisfied, Storm closed her eyes again. How much farther? Emma asked, trying to keep the worry from her voice. 5 minutes, Mark called from the front seat. Dr. Patel is ready for us. Best veterinary team in the region. Emma counted the seconds. Each one felt like an hour. The female puppy's breathing was so shallow, Emma had to watch closely to see her chest move. Come on, she thought. Just hold on a little longer. Storm seemed to sense Emma's fear. The shepherd pressed her cold nose into Emma's palm, a gesture of comfort, even in her own suffering. Emma's throat tightened. This dog had every reason to give up, to stop trusting, to protect only herself. Instead, she kept reaching out, kept believing someone would help. Dr. Anjali Patel met them at the emergency entrance with 2 veterinary technicians. They moved fast, getting all 3 dogs into the treatment area. The mother shepherd resisted when a tech reached for her puppies. Dr. Patel knelt at eye level with the dog. "I know you're scared, but we need to help your babies. You can watch. Right here." She gestured to a heated mat on the floor beside the exam table. "You stay right here where you can see them." The shepherd's resistance melted. She let herself be guided to the mat. Someone had placed a heated blanket over her. She settled down, nose pointed toward the exam table where her puppies lay under bright lights. Dr. Patel worked quickly. IV fluids for all 3 dogs. The puppies were so small that placement was difficult. The male puppy squirmed, fighting the needle. Good sign. The female puppy barely reacted. Dr. Patel's expression tightened, but she didn't stop working. "Emma," the vet said without looking up. "Come talk to the mother dog. She keeps trying to get up." Emma moved to the shepherd's side. The dog's eyes were wild with worry, darting between her puppies and the strangers surrounding them. Emma sat on the floor, level with the dog's face. "Hey, I'm Emma. You came to my house. That was really smart." The shepherd's focus shifted to Emma. Her breathing slowed slightly. "Your puppies are getting medicine," Emma continued softly. "See, that tube is giving them warm fluids. It's helping." She kept her hand on the dog's shoulder, a steady presence. "You did everything right. You found help. Now let these people do their job." The shepherd's body relaxed incrementally. She laid her head on Emma's knee, exhaustion finally catching up. Her eyes stayed open, watching the table, but the panic eased. Dr. Patel finished the initial examination. "The mother has moderate hypothermia, dehydration, and early-stage frostbite on her paw pads, but she'll recover." She moved to the puppies. "This little guy is stable. Temperature's coming up. He's a fighter." She picked up the female puppy. The tiny body was limp in her hands. "This one is critical. Her core temperature is dangerously low. She has severe frostbite on all 4 paws and her tail tip." "Doctor," Patel's voice softened. "The next few hours will tell us if she makes it." Emma's eyes burned. The female puppy looked even smaller under the harsh medical lights. "Please help her. We're doing everything we can." Mark Reeves appeared beside Sarah. "I ran the dog's microchip. Her name is Storm. She was reported missing 3 days ago from a shelter 40 miles north. Apparently someone adopted her and the puppies yesterday morning. When the storm hit last night, I'm guessing they panicked and dumped her." Emma's hand tightened on Storm's shoulder. "They just left her?" "We'll find them," Mark said grimly. Weather was predicted. Anyone who drives dogs out and abandons them in a snowstorm is looking at serious charges. Storm's tail thumped once at the sound of her name. Her eyes stayed locked on her puppies. The male puppy had started crying, tiny mewling sounds that cut through the clinical atmosphere. Storm whined in response, trying to stand. The heated blanket tangled around her legs. Dr. Patel nodded to a tech. "Bring him to her. Skin-to-skin contact will help them both." The tech carefully lifted the male puppy, IV line and all, and placed him beside Storm. The shepherd immediately curled around him, tucking him into the warmth of her belly. The puppy's cries stopped. He burrowed into his mother's fur, instinct guiding him to the source of comfort and safety he'd known since birth. Emma watched tears blur her vision. This mother had walked through a snowstorm, protecting her babies with her own body, searching for help until she literally collapsed at their door. That kind of love didn't come with conditions or limits. It just was. The female puppy remained on the heated table. Monitors beeped steadily. Her heart rate was slow but regular, temperature climbing gradually. Dr. Patel checked her vitals every 15 minutes. Each time, she kept her expression neutral, but Emma saw the worry in the vet's eyes. Hours passed. Sarah ordered food delivery because no one wanted to leave. Emma stayed by Storm's side, keeping up a steady stream of gentle conversation. The shepherd had stopped trying to stand, understanding somehow that the humans were helping, not harming. She licked her son constantly, stimulating his circulation, encouraging him to nurse even though she was too dehydrated to produce milk yet. The clinic's fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Other animals came and went through the emergency entrance. A cat hit by a car, a puppy who'd eaten something toxic, an elderly beagle with a sudden seizure. The staff moved between cases with practiced efficiency, but Emma noticed how often they glanced at Storm and the puppies. This case had touched everyone. The male puppy grew stronger with each hour. By late afternoon, he was crawling around actively, crying louder when he got too far from Storm's warmth. His little voice had changed from weak mewling to demanding squeaks. Storm managed to shift positions without help, careful of her IV line, always keeping her son within reach. A veterinary technician brought Storm a bowl of special recovery food mixed with warm water. Storm lifted her head cautiously. She sniffed the bowl. Her tail moved once. She took a small bite, testing. Then another. Within minutes, the bowl was empty. "That's a good sign," the tech said, refilling the bowl. "Her body's recovering. She'll be producing milk within 12 hours, probably." Emma watched Storm eat with desperate focus. The shepherd wasn't thinking about herself. She was thinking about her puppies, about producing the milk they needed to survive. Every bite was for them. But the female puppy's condition remained critical. Her temperature had stabilized, but she hadn't regained consciousness. The frostbite on her paws looked severe. Black tissue was becoming visible as frozen cells died. Dr. Patel had started her on antibiotics to prevent infection and pain medication to ease her suffering. Emma pulled a chair close to the heating table where the puppy lay. Monitors beeped steadily, tracking heart rate and temperature. The puppy looked impossibly small under the warming lights. Her tiny chest rose and fell in mechanical rhythm. Too regular, too automatic. "Don't give up," Emma whispered. "Your mama didn't give up. Your brother didn't give up." She looked at the tiny face, imagining those eyes opening. "I know you're tired. I know it hurts. But your family needs you." Storm lifted her head from where she lay, watching. She made a soft sound. Not a whine. Something else. Encouragement, maybe. Or prayer. Her brown eyes locked on her daughter's still form. The shepherd's body trembled with the effort of staying calm when every instinct screamed to go to her baby. "She knows," Dr. Patel said quietly, appearing beside Emma. The vet checked the puppy's vitals again. "Dogs understand more than we give them credit for. She knows her daughter is fighting. Will she make it?" Dr. Patel didn't answer immediately. She adjusted the warming light, checked the IV flow rate. "I've seen puppies this sick recover. I've also seen them slip away despite everything we do." She met Emma's eyes. "What I can tell you is this puppy has something powerful on her side. She has a mother who survived a blizzard for her, and she has you, refusing to let her give up. That matters." Emma looked back at Storm. The shepherd's gaze hadn't moved from her daughter. "She can hear us, right? The puppy?" "I believe so. Hearing is often the last sense to fade, and the first to return." Emma leaned closer to the heating table. "Your mama's right here. She's watching you. She's waiting for you." Her voice dropped to barely above a whisper. "My mom told me something once. She said the bravest thing you can do is keep going when you want to stop. You're being so brave right now." The puppy's monitor beeped its steady rhythm. No change, no response. But Emma kept talking anyway. Sarah stepped up behind her daughter, placing both hands on Emma's shoulders. "You've been here for 7 hours, honey. Maybe we should go home, get some rest. Dr. Patel has our number." "I can't leave." Emma's voice cracked. "What if she wakes up and we're not here? What if she's scared?" Storm made that sound again, louder this time. Her whole body tensed. The male puppy squeaked in protest as his mother shifted. Storm's eyes were fixed on the heating table, on her daughter, on something Emma couldn't see. Dr. Patel moved quickly. Her heart rate's changing. "She's coming up." Emma jumped to her feet. "Really?" The female puppy's eyelids flickered. A tremor ran through her tiny body. "Doctor," Patel called for her assistant. "Get the bottle ready. Glucose supplement. And bring Storm closer. She needs to see this. 2 techs helped Storm to her feet. The shepherd moved on, shaking legs, dragging her IV pole. She positioned herself right beside the heating table, nose touching the edge. Her eyes never left her daughter. Come on, baby. You can do it. The female puppy's eyes opened. Unfocused at first, they gradually cleared. She saw her mother's face above her, saw Emma's face, saw the bright lights and strange ceiling. Her mouth opened, and a cry emerged. Scared and confused, but alive, Dr. Patel scooped up the puppy with one hand, careful of her damaged paws. She brought her close to Storm. Here she is, your brave girl. Storm's whole body shook. She sniffed her daughter frantically, licking her face, making sounds Emma had never heard a dog make before. Joy and relief, and something deeper. The female puppy squirmed in the doctor's hands, trying to reach her mother. Dr. Patel lowered her carefully. Storm curled around both puppies, her body a protective arc. The male puppy immediately crawled toward his sister, pressing close. The female puppy burrowed into her mother's warmth. Home at last. Storm's eyes closed. For the first time since they'd found her, she looked peaceful. Emma dropped into the chair beside them. Her whole body felt like a string that had been pulled taut and suddenly released. Sarah's hand landed on her shoulder. You did good, honey. I didn't do anything. Storm did everything. Mark Reeves looked up from his phone. Update from the police. They found the people who abandoned them. Couple in their 20s, claimed they panicked when the storm got bad and thought the dog would find shelter. They're being charged with animal cruelty and endangerment. Dr. Patel checked Storm's vitals again. She's stabilizing. Once we get some food and fluids in her, she'll bounce back. Dogs are remarkably resilient. She looked at the female puppy. This little one has a harder road. The frostbite damage is extensive. She might lose parts of her paws or tail. Emma's heart clenched. But she'll live? She'll live. And honestly, dogs adapt incredibly well to those kinds of injuries. She'll run and play like any puppy. She just might look a little different. Storm lifted her head, looking directly at Emma. The shepherd's eyes were clear now, focused and intelligent. She held Emma's gaze for a long moment. Then, deliberately, Storm reached out and touched Emma's hand with her nose, a gesture of trust, of thanks. Dr. Patel smiled. I think she knows who saved her. She saved herself, Emma said. She just needed someone to open the door. The animal hospital kept all 3 dogs overnight for observation. Sarah and Emma went home reluctantly, promising to return first thing in the morning. Emma barely slept, thinking about Storm and the puppies alone in the medical ward. But when her mother woke her at 7 a.m., Emma was already dressed. Dr. Patel met them in the lobby. Storm's eating. Good appetite. She tried to stand a few times during the night, making sure her puppies were close. Very protective, Mama. The vet led them back. The male puppy is completely healthy, no lasting damage. The female puppy had a rough night, but she's holding on. She nursed this morning, first time since we brought her in. Storm was standing when they entered the recovery room. Her tail started wagging the moment she saw Emma. The shepherd looked transformed from the frozen, desperate dog they'd found yesterday. Her coat was brushed clean. Her eyes were bright. She moved stiffly, favoring her frostbitten paws, but she moved. The puppies were curled together in a heated bed beside Storm's kennel. Both were awake. The male puppy scrambled toward the kennel door when he saw Emma. The female puppy lifted her head, tiny tail attempting a wag. Emma dropped to her knees at the kennel door. Storm pushed her nose through the bars, licking Emma's face. Her whole back end wiggled with excitement. Hey, Storm! You look so much better. Dr. Patel opened the kennel door. Want to sit with them? It's good for their socialization. Emma didn't need to be asked twice. She settled on the floor of the large kennel. Storm immediately pressed against her side, like they'd been friends forever. The male puppy climbed into Emma's lap. The female puppy tried to follow, but struggled with her bandaged paws. Emma gently lifted her, cradling the tiny body. I've got you. Storm watched carefully, ensuring Emma handled her daughter with care. Satisfied, the shepherd laid her head on Emma's leg. Complete trust. Sarah spoke quietly with Dr. Patel near the doorway. What happens now? With the charges filed against the previous owners, can they reclaim her? No, they've surrendered all rights. Storm and the puppies are wards of the county now. Dr. Patel paused. They'll go to the shelter once they're medically cleared, though finding someone willing to adopt a mother with 2 puppies, one of whom will need special care. She didn't finish the sentence. The implication hung heavy in the air. 3 dogs together, one with special needs. Most people wanted a single puppy, young and healthy. The chances of Storm and her babies staying together were slim. They'd be separated. Storm would watch her children disappear into different homes after everything she'd done to keep them alive. Emma heard every word. She looked down at Storm, at the 2 puppies in her arms. Thought about Storm choosing their house, their door, out of all the places she could have gone. Thought about the way Storm had looked at her, understanding somehow that this child would help. Storm seemed to sense the conversation. Her body tensed. She looked at Emma with those intelligent brown eyes, and Emma saw fear there. Not of pain or cold, but of losing her babies. After surviving so much, that would be Storm's final defeat. Mom, Emma said, I know what you're going to ask. Sarah came closer, kneeling beside the kennel. Storm's tail thumped. Sarah reached out slowly, letting the shepherd sniff her hand. Honestly, Emma, I've been thinking about it since yesterday. Emma held her breath, her heart hammered against her ribs. She'd never wanted anything more in her life. Not toys or games or trips. Just this broken little family that had trusted her. Sarah looked at Storm, really looked at her. Saw the intelligence in those brown eyes. Saw the gentleness in how she treated her injured daughter. Saw the trust she'd placed in a little girl she'd just met. Saw the mother who'd walked through a killing storm rather than abandon her babies. It's a big commitment, Sarah said, but her voice had already softened. 3 dogs, veterinary bills, training, time. I'll help with everything, Emma promised. I'll walk them every day. I'll clean up. I'll save my allowance for food and supplies. I know you will. Sarah scratched behind Storm's ears. The shepherd leaned into the touch, eyes closing briefly. And I think Storm already decided we're her family. The words hung there for a moment. Storm opened her eyes, looking between Sarah and Emma. Her tail wagged harder. The male puppy chose that moment to climb onto Sarah's knee, tiny paws scrabbling for purchase. He looked up at her with dark eyes and made a demanding squeak. Sarah laughed, a sound of surrender and joy mixed together. Well, when you put it that way. She picked up the male puppy, holding him at eye level. I guess you're ours now, aren't you? The puppy licked her nose. Really? Emma's voice cracked. We can keep them all of them. Sarah set the puppy back down. We have the yard. We have the space. She looked at Emma with wet eyes. And more importantly, we have the love. That's what they need most. Dr. Patel smiled from the doorway. I'll start the adoption paperwork. Given the circumstances and Emma's role in the rescue, I can expedite things with the county. They'll be thrilled to have this placement. She pulled out her phone. I'll call the shelter director now. Get the process started. Emma wrapped her arms around Storm's neck, careful not to crush the puppies between them. The shepherd made a sound of contentment, deep and rumbling. It wasn't quite a growl, wasn't quite a whine. It was satisfaction, relief, joy. The male puppy licked Emma's chin enthusiastically. The female puppy burrowed deeper into Emma's arms, falling asleep with a tiny sigh. Storm rested her head on Emma's shoulder. The weight of it was solid and real. This was happening. They were going to be a family. Emma closed her eyes, feeling Storm's steady breathing, the warmth of 2 tiny puppies, her mother's hand on her back. Dr. Patel returned 10 minutes later. It's official. County approved the emergency adoption. You can take them home as soon as Storm's medically cleared. Probably 3 more days. She knelt beside the kennel. This is the best outcome we could have hoped for. These 3 get to stay together, and they get to stay with the people who saved them. Storm saved herself, Emma said again. She knew where to find help. Maybe, Doctor, Patel stroked Storm's head. Or maybe she knew exactly which door to knock on. Dogs have instincts we barely understand. She could have gone to 20 houses on that street. She chose yours. Emma thought about that. About Storm, trudging through deep snow, temperature dropping, wind howling. Puppies pressed against her sides. She would have been exhausted, hypothermic, desperate. But she kept going, house after house, until she found the right one. Why us? Emma asked. Storm looked at her. Just looked. And Emma understood. Sometimes there wasn't a logical answer. Sometimes you just knew. The same way Emma had known the instant she saw Storm through the glass that she had to help. The same way Storm had known this family would open their door and their hearts. Over the next 2 weeks, Emma watched Storm transform. The shepherd's confidence grew as she realized the Chen household was permanent. Her frostbitten paws healed enough for her to run in the backyard. She started playing, the first time Emma saw the dog act her age. Storm was only 3 years old. She had puppyhood stolen by whoever bred her, then lost to harsh shelter life, then nearly killed in a snowstorm. But here, she could finally be herself. The first time Storm brought Emma a toy, Emma had been doing homework at the kitchen table. Storm appeared with a squeaky ball in her mouth, dropping it deliberately at Emma's feet. When Emma threw it, Storm exploded into motion. She raced across the backyard with powerful strides, caught the ball mid-bounce, and brought it back immediately. Her whole body vibrated with joy. I think she's making up for lost time, Sarah said, watching from the window. She never got to just be a puppy. They established routines, morning walks before school, training sessions in the afternoon. Storm was incredibly smart, learning commands after just a few repetitions. Sit, stay, come, down. She excelled at everything. Emma suspected she'd had training before, probably from her time at the shelter. But there was something more. Storm was eager to please, to be part of the family, to prove she deserved this second chance. The male puppy, whom Emma named Thunder, became the most adventurous creature Emma had ever seen. He explored every corner of the house, got into everything, and had absolutely no fear. He discovered the trash can could be tipped over, learned that shoes were excellent chew toys, figured out how to open the cupboard where they kept the dog treats. Storm watched her son with patient amusement, intervening only when his bravery exceeded his coordination. The time Thunder tried to leap from the couch to the coffee table and miscalculated spectacularly, Storm was there to catch him gently in her jaws before he hit the ground. The time he got his head stuck in a paper bag, Storm pulled it off carefully with her teeth. But Storm's relationship with Hope was different, more protective, more intense. The female puppy was different. Emma named her Hope. The frostbite damage had been severe. Dr. Patel had to amputate the tips of 3 paws and her tail tip. The surgery had gone well, but recovery was slow. Hope couldn't walk for the first week home. She'd whimper when she tried to stand, legs giving out beneath her. Storm never left her daughter's side during those dark days. She'd position herself so Hope could lean against her for support, would lick Hope's bandaged paws gently, encouraging her. Made soft sounds that seemed to say, "You can do this. Keep trying." Emma would sit with both of them for hours, watching Storm work with her injured daughter. It was more than instinct. It was teaching, showing Hope that modified paws could still work, that a shortened tail didn't mean you couldn't wag. That different didn't mean less. The day Hope took her first steps on her healing paws, everyone cried. The puppy wobbled across 3 feet of kitchen floor before collapsing, but Storm was there immediately, nosing her daughter back to her feet. Again. Hope tried again, fell again, got up again. By the end of that day, Hope was walking. Awkwardly, yes, with a distinctive rolling gait that would become her signature. But walking. Storm laid down that night with Hope between her front paws, both of them exhausted. Emma saw peace on Storm's face. Her daughter would be okay. Hope adapted to her altered paws within days, running and playing with her brother like the injuries didn't exist. She was smaller than Thunder, more cautious, but also more affectionate. She'd climb into Emma's lap during movie nights, settling in with a contented sigh. At bedtime, She'd scratch at Emma's door until allowed inside. Then she'd sleep pressed against Emma's side, as if remembering the girl who'd whispered encouragement when she was fighting for her life. Thunder grew faster, broader, more confident. Hope grew slower but smarter. She figured out which cupboard held the treats and learned to paw at it pointedly. Discovered that looking pathetic while Emma ate dinner usually resulted in scraps. Mastered the art of the guilt-inducing stare. Storm never let her puppies out of her sight. Even when they were sleeping safely in their bed, she positioned herself where she could see them. At night, she'd do a circuit of the house, checking on Emma, checking on Sarah, checking on her puppies, making sure her family was safe. The first week, Sarah had woken to find Storm standing beside her bed at 2 a.m., just watching, guarding. "It's okay, Storm," Sarah had whispered. "Everyone's safe. You can sleep." Storm had finally learned to relax by the second week, but the protective instinct never faded. A stranger approaching the fence would trigger an instant alert. Storm would position herself between the threat and her family, hackles raised, body language clear. But the moment the threat passed, she'd relax, tail wagging, ready to play. Emma's teacher, Mrs. Patterson, asked Emma to give a presentation about the rescue. Emma brought photos. The before picture of Storm at the door, covered in ice. The hospital photos showing IV lines and warming lights. The after photos of Storm playing in the yard, puppies tumbling around her feet. Her classmates were silent. One boy raised his hand. "Did the people who left her get in trouble?" "Yes," Emma said. "They were charged with animal cruelty. The judge made them pay fines and do community service at animal shelters." "Good," several voices said at once. After school, Emma's classmates begged to meet Storm. Sarah agreed to bring all 3 dogs to the playground that weekend. Storm walked between Emma and Sarah on a leash, head high, confident. Thunder and Hope bounced at the end of their leads, excited by all the new smells and sounds. 20 kids surrounded them within minutes. Storm handled the attention perfectly. She sat calmly, allowing children to pet her, accepting treats politely. When a smaller child approached nervously, Storm lowered her head to eye level, tail wagging slowly. The child's fear melted away. Thunder loved the chaos. He bounced from kid to kid, licking faces, stealing attention. Hope was more reserved. She stayed close to Storm, accepting pets but not seeking them out, until a little girl in a wheelchair rolled up. The girl couldn't reach down far enough to pet Hope from her chair, so Hope did something Emma had never seen her do before. The puppy carefully climbed up onto the girl's lap, mindful of her altered paws, and settled there gently. The girl's face lit up. Storm watched her daughter with what Emma could only describe as pride. This was what she'd fought for. This life, these moments, this family. Emma's classmates heard about the rescue. Local news picked up the story. A reporter came to interview Emma, wanting to know how it felt to be a hero. Emma had looked at Storm, lying peacefully in the winter sun streaming through the window, puppies tumbling over each other nearby. "I'm not the hero," Emma had said. "Storm is." She walked through a blizzard. She found our house. She kept her babies alive all night in -15-degree weather. All I did was open the door. But Storm seemed to disagree. The way she followed Emma everywhere. The way she'd rest her head in Emma's lap each evening. The way she'd bring her puppies to Emma, showing them off, sharing them. Storm understood what Emma wouldn't say out loud. Sometimes opening the door is exactly what someone needs. Sometimes being willing to help is the bravest thing you can do. 3 months after the rescue, Emma was in the backyard throwing a ball for Thunder and Hope. Both puppies had grown substantially. Hope ran with a slightly altered gait because of her shortened paws, but she was fast. Thunder was bigger, but Hope was smarter. She'd figured out how to anticipate where the ball would land while Thunder just ran in circles. Storm lay in the grass watching her children play. Her eyes tracked their movements constantly. But there was something new in her expression now. Peace. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was living. Emma sat beside Storm, running her hand through the shepherd's thick coat. The patches where ice had matted the fur were long gone. Storm was beautiful, all muscle and grace and intelligence. "You know what?" Emma said softly. I'm glad you picked our door. Storm turned her head, brown eyes meeting Emma's. She made a soft sound, almost conversational. Then she stood, moved to Emma's side, and leaned her full weight against the girl. Dogs didn't hug, not the way humans did. But this was Storm's version, a gesture of affection and gratitude, and something deeper. Emma wrapped her arms around Storm's neck. The shepherd's heartbeat was strong and steady beneath her fur. This dog had survived abandonment, a blizzard, hypothermia, and nearly losing one of her babies. But she was still here, still fighting, still trusting. Thunder brought the ball back, dropping it at Emma's feet with a proud bark. Hope arrived seconds later, trying to steal it from her brother. They tumbled over each other, growling in puppy play. Storm watched them with what Emma could only describe as a smile. Sarah called from the back door. "Emma, dinner's ready." Emma stood, brushing grass from her jeans. "Come on, Storm. Let's get your puppies inside." Storm barked once, sharp and commanding. Both puppies immediately stopped wrestling and looked at their mother. She barked again, softer this time. The puppies raced toward the house, tumbling over their own feet in enthusiasm. Storm followed at a more dignified pace, but her tail waved like a flag. Emma walked beside her, one hand resting on Storm's shoulder. Through the window, she could see her mother setting the table. Could see the warm light spilling out into the early evening. Could see Hope and Thunder already inside, probably begging for scraps. A year ago, this hadn't been their life. But a frozen morning, a desperate dog, and one opened door had changed everything. Emma had learned something that morning. Heroes didn't always wear capes or uniforms. Sometimes they came on 4 legs, covered in ice, with 2 puppies pressed against their sides. Sometimes they were mothers who would rather freeze than leave their babies. Sometimes they were dogs who trusted one more time, even when trust had failed them before. Storm paused at the door, looking back at the yard. The winter had passed. Spring had arrived. The ground where she'd nearly died was now covered in green grass and early flowers. She turned to Emma, waiting. Emma opened the door. "Come on, girl. You're home." Storm walked inside, head high, puppies running circles around her legs. The door closed behind them, shutting out the cold, keeping the warmth in. Emma knew she'd never forget that frozen morning. How Storm's eyes had looked through the glass. How light the puppies had felt in her arms. How close they'd come to tragedy. But they hadn't come to tragedy. They'd come to family. Storm settled on the rug near the heater, her favorite spot. Hope curled against her mother's belly. Thunder flopped across Storm's back legs. The shepherd's eyes closed, content and warm and safe. This was what she'd been searching for that terrible night. Not just shelter from the storm. Home. Emma sat beside them, one hand on Storm's head. The shepherd's tail thumped softly. Her chest rose and fell in the deep breathing of complete relaxation. She'd found what she needed. They'd found each other. Outside, snow began to fall again. But inside, the family was together. And that was all that mattered.